Welcome to episode 9 of the EUphoria podcast, featuring me, Drakos, and my co-host Deficio. We're available on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. As a reminder, timestamps are in the description. We get messaged about this every week. Click show more. I swear to you that they are there. We do not forget, so there's your reminder.
We just want people to work hard to find them.
Yeah, they're on SoundCloud. I don't know how they work on iTunes, but I hope that they're there too. But I do know that they're on SoundCloud and YouTube. This is this podcast about all things EULCS. We're going to be taking a look back at the spring 2017 regular season today. We're going to be previewing some quarterfinals. We're going to be building some LCS playoff brackets. We have a couple of interesting wagers, and who better to bring it all to you than our special guests, sOAZ and Odoamne. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hey, sOAZ, dog duo on the left here.
Yep, we actually, funny enough, we're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
It's also very interesting because we asked,
No, but you're no more a dog now. Like, now you're getting some gangs, playing kites.
Oh, yeah, actually.
It's true, you pick Vladimir every game now. Probably going to pick some
I just spamming the tower and I'm like, come here or I die. It's fine.
It's fine. It works. You have a jungler who's camping for you now.
Yeah.
Sadly, you still lost to G2, but hey, who cares, that happened.
We kind of broke our hands over there.
Yeah, that happened. But fun fact, we had a bunch of viewers when we asked who they actually want to see on the show. Ton of different player names. A lot of people really wanted Caps and Whippo. So we got them sOAZ, which is a bit of a replacement. I'm very sorry to everyone who requested the other two Fnatic players, but sOAZ is here, and to make it even better, we brought in Odoamne next to him, who's not from Fnatic, but I'm
that
sure.
Kinda sucks.
I'm sure some people like him anyway.
The two replacements.
Yeah.
There we go.
Discount players.
Oh, God. Discount players, I love it.
We'll get Whippo next.
It's exciting.
It's fine. Like, given our champ pool, we can just name this episode Doggy Style, so that's fine.
Perfect title. All right, I think we just do it.
Get it.
Let's talk about it. All right, so you
there.
guys are the official, Lords of Dog Champs. I think it's safe to say. And so I want to take some time. I want to make a Dog Champ tier list with you guys.
Ooh.
I want to make a tier list. So I figure we go through it. We'll just say, we'll get a little ABC action for Dog Champ tier list.
How many do you want? 5 champions?
I mean, let's 5. However many there are that you've ever had to play in your career is probably fine. But let's start with who is the biggest, hands down, Dog Champ?
I'm thinking about 2.
I think Maokai for sure.
Yeah.
If you wanna be on dog duty, you have Maokai for sure.
But when Maokai last season, for example, was pretty strong.
Yeah, he was.
So it was not actually dog champ because you can actually kill people, right?
It's on this season.
But if you play Maokai right now, he's actually a dog champ. It depends of the timeline. It depends on the timeline what you think about Maokai. But if you'd say in the actual meta, then Maokai is the dog champ.
It's the worst timeline for Maokai.
What's the other one you were thinking of before we lock him out?
I mean, I was thinking Shen is pretty hard dog champ as well, if your team is not good enough.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But Shen could taunt an AD carry and kill him. We've seen that a few times.
But then the AD have no hands, maybe.
Yeah, but see that a lot of AD carries in Europe have no hands.
This happened to Reckless 2 weeks ago. Don't tell him.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Ooh,
I mean, it depends of the AD that you play as well. But if you play long range ADC,
That's true.
if you play hyper carry and you get torn by Shen, then
That's unlucky.
there is something going on.
Okay, so A tier dog champ is Maokai at the
For
moment.
sure.
The ultimate dog.
All right.
Is he the only one in A tier then?
Is there anyone else that even comes close to being Maokai as far as dog champs go?
I mean, I see Shen is a bit less of a dog, just because
I think
you
Shen
can
is the
actually
same as
trade.
Shogat.
Yeah.
Shogat and Shen are
Shogat
probably
and
in the
Shen
same
are-
tier.
yeah.
So that B tier.
Are they
Yeah.
B tier? Shogat, Shin?
With those champs, you can actually fight.
What about Ornn top lane?
I'll put him after them because you kill people with Ornn. This guy.
That's true.
Next-
That's
No, but
a
okay,
topic
if
for later.
If you pay attention to the tier list that we just said, you will see Shogat is above Ornn. So it's a natural cycle
That Ornn has to kill Cho'Gath.
kill people.
The less dog is gonna beat the bigger dog. So it's just nothing I can do when I have a matchup. That
Of course, no, you got counters.
countered by the bigger dog.
Do you have anything else in the meta right now, top lane?
I mean, or historically, Nautilus was the tank I thought of, but he was really OP, I think, last time he was played in top
There's
lane.
some Poppy right here.
Poppy. Oh, Poppy's back.
You can put him with Maokai. He's just as big. Actually,
Oh, now you gotta
Same
think
as
here.
Shogat, no? Shogat-chan.
Yeah, but you can only play Poppy into Camille though. If you play it into any other tank, like okay, this is a tank-friendly tier list.
But if you play Poppy into Maokai, then
Maokai still wins.
not right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Poppy got a little buff, 1% on Q.
Oh, and 10 damage on passive. That really works. No, but I think Poppy will just straight up get by Maokai. Okay, never mind. Never mind that.
We move on.
Okay, let's replace it with
B tier?
Can you say
No.
You can't say that.
Try again. Where do you want to put
For
Poppy?
context, because we've had to bleep F-bombs recently, we asked to cut down because we know bleeping is super obnoxious. We don't like it either. It's tough, but it's something we have to do. So we asked. Odoamne is now trying to
I think
pitch
Poppy
alternative
would be better
words,
than
and no,
Maokai.
Odoamne, that is
Because
not a
would you
good
go Grasp
alternative
on
word.
Maokai?
I
Because
think
Poppy will go area or Grassman will have pressure.
no, but the thing is, I just feel like Poppy will just go, how do you call it? Poppy is forced to itemize MR, you know? And all the MR items are pretty bad, like Spectre Cowl Mercs, while Maokai is just gonna Rust on Fire.
I don't think you need to go MR against Mao.
No, but then he will just force all ends on you 24/7. And then you'll just keep losing.
I
'Cause
think
you can just spam
I think
armor as Maokai.
whoever gets Ocean Drake will win.
Actually, too. Okay, that's really important for the dog champs, you know?
For
but-
the dog champ, she
Ocean
did the
Drake,
Ocean
best
Drake.
Drake.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm playing some dog champs at top, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm winning these trades
You just run
consistently.
and then the guy just stay on
And then I
red.
see I see it in red in the chat. Enemy team has Ocean Drake, and I'm like, okay, I'm hugging my tower from now.
All right, I'm going to
No point trading.
special mention for Ocean Drake here.
Ocean Drake is the biggest dog here.
Yeah, it's actually such a big factor if you play tank top. I think even if you play tank top into carry, or if you play tank against tank, like Ocean Drake is just so broken for top lane.
Yeah, it makes trading irrelevant. Like,
Like
if you don't have Ocean Drake, you
if you
shouldn't
have a
trade.
tank with Ocean, like you cannot lose lane.
Oh my god, that sounds obnoxious. That's a good point though.
Cool.
Because none of the rest of the laners back so frequently that they just like don't care, I think, about Ocean nearly as much.
You know, you just sit top, and then you chunk the enemy tank to 20%, and then Ocean Drake pops up, and he disappears for 30 seconds, and he's half HP. And he has more HP than you. I'm like, okay, well, I have to base soon.
So Poppy, I guess, was B tier, according to what you guys said. I think that might be it.
Is
No,
that
there's also some Cyan. Cyan is with on over there.
But
A bit
Cyan's
better
pretty
than
cool,
Ornn.
man.
I will put him with all, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cyan is like
C
pretty
tier.
badass. He can kill stuff.
Yeah.
I like this. So,
Maybe he's a bit. I'll put him with Show probably. Show and Shen now.
You think so?
Not sure.
I mean, actually, with the hitbox now.
I played a bit against it in scrims and like maybe I'm so good but I cannot get it by E, you know.
After the hotfix happened.
Yeah. Like
Well,
I
the
had
bug fix.
big discussion with my mid laner about Cyan and Ease after the hotfix.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's
apparently
easy to
on
dodge
mid
him.
lane you cannot miss the E still, but on top lane you can only miss it. So
That's
Oh,
interesting.
that makes a lot of sense.
So Cyan basically going down a little bit.
Cyan less.
because
more of a
when I
dog
play
champ.
More
against
of a dog champ, yeah.
like I cannot get hit by like even in scrims or in solo
I think it's
queue.
hard to
Like out of 10 E, I maybe get hit by 1 or 2 E.
Yeah.
But
And
on
depends on the
mid
champ.
lane, like I see every mid laner like just running to Cyan and getting a full Q, you know, or E, and I don't understand.
He's
these
like, I
people,
cannot
you know.
dodge it.
They don't understand how to play kind of tanks.
See, you've lived with dog champions. You understand. You were raised in this hell of dog
Yeah.
champions. They don't get it. This is their first dog champ. They don't
Yeah.
understand how it works.
I have 2 last names here. One, Nasus. Is he anywhere on this list or not?
I think he
I
could,
mean, he's Papa Dog.
he could be played eventually.
Do you want to put him on your
would
dog
usually-
tier list, or is he too good at killing
No,
stuff?
I wouldn't call him dog champ.
Cool, good. Got that one out. Old school one you played last split, Galio top lane, where I felt like your entire job was kill your wave and
You know, I
ult to
actually
reckless.
tried it. I actually tried it once in Scrim, but it was terrible. Like his early game is just too bad right now.
Sad.
I mean, we won the game, but it
Not
was
because of you.
yeah, it was really terrible. Like laning wise, but once you get items on the champion, is really OP. But for top lane, early lane is just unplayable.
Rip Galio top lane.
There you go.
I like our list
But
though.
the champion is really fun to play. I think it's. I would have hoped that it will be more of a top laner than mid laner.
But the thing is, the way it felt like
semi-global ultimates.
It's
Dude,
just-
you got to play in mid.
the way sometimes it seems to go with how they buff and nerf champions is like if they see okay now Galio mid is being played, they're like, oh, let's buff the AP ratio so he becomes an AP champion. Instead of saying, let's, nerf that and give him more base damage or tankiness or whatever. So I guess because someone showed AP Galio mid lane was good, they just moved in, just Galio mid, they moved in that direction. And now he's a bad tank.
And also gets Ocean Drake, but can't gamble on that.
That would be weird if you could.
Impact was playing a lot of Galio. I remember doing walls and stuff. I don't know. It was really fun champ to play. And you can, like, if you play good with your team, it's really fun to play, especially if you have like a setup or whatever.
He's not on our list. Drakos, welcome.
Yeah, hi. Hello, Windows. Sorry about that, folks. Computer's now muted. So, final Dog Champ tier list. We have A tier is Maokai, the undisputed Lord of Dogtown. We have Cho'Gath, Shen, Poppy, and Sion battling it out in B tier, and Ornn, who has a little bit of kill pressure despite nerfs, gets to live in C tier, especially when you take Ignite instead of Flash, I imagine.
That's true.
There you guys have it. There's the Dog Champ tier list. Next up, I want to take a look back at the spring 2017 regular season. I kind of want to award some EUphoria awards. And so I want to ask you guys, the first award, I want to award the biggest surprise this season. It could be a team or a player, but I'm curious, like, coming into the season, what did you expect to be awful that turned out to be great, or great that turned out to be awful? What was like the most surprising thing about the spring season?
HTK.
True.
I wouldn't have thought that they would even be, good.
What about after roster changes?
Considering that, I think the original HTK, it was fair to say that they would be, terrible. But after roster changes, it wasn't really a terrible roster anymore. It was okay. I would have said it, kind of average. And I think it's fair that people said that they were going to be like 9th or 10th, but their like last part of the season was pretty insane. So I feel like it's fair that they managed to get 5th, and that's a big surprise considering, they were 10th for 9 weeks.
Yeah, started 1-7. Obviously, then had to bounce back. And if they had lost the game against Rocket, which happened basically last week on day 2, and they almost lost that game until Blank decided to wall off his entire team. They actually wouldn't have made playoffs.
It was twice.
Did they try to do some type of strategy or something with this?
I have to guess that he thought he put it right in front of Skarner after he'd already pulled back the H2K player.
No, but this was
behind.
even when, like, it was way before Skarner pulled.
Okay, so maybe it was his bad. I tried to save him here.
I'm like 99% it was misclick. But
Probably.
I thought, maybe they had some like insane strategy, but then they are like, oh, maybe you cannot flash after Skarner pulled, whatever. So maybe they are thinking, Skarner pulled and then flash over the wall or something. I cannot,
No, but did you guys see when he walled the sign going? That was just as tragic.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff happened there.
That was they got it. And I would say that even if you put this roster with the changes in front of me at the start of the season, I still would not have put this team above 8th place.
But that's because we thought like Misfits and Schalke would like for sure be top 6, right?
Yeah, we did. We did definitely think.
So
I think we put Schalke top 5.
It was kind of crowded with teams.
It's not like we were 9th in your power rankings.
Because you guys were hard garbage in the start.
Actually, true. I was playing some Ilao.
Yeah, you played Ilao like died 6 times in a row.
You were on tank duty and you were like on sad tank duty where they would go kill you every game.
I was legit on no wards, no anything, just tonk, hug your tower duty.
Alright, so as big a surprise, team or player?
I was gonna say Vitality, but I don't know if you can say biggest surprise. After thinking about it, because it's not like it was surprise because I didn't know what to expect from them really. Like,
Did you
I didn't
think
know,
they were gonna like 7-1?
Yeah, I didn't know if they would be like good or bad. I thought I would rank them in the middle of the pack.
I think
that's a fair
more
big surprise.
in the middle bottom, but
yeah.
you didn't know really what to think about them.
I would actually say Jizuke is then probably my biggest surprise.
Then I was thinking more about players, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking Jizuke as well.
Because I remember watching a lot of the in-house scrims that happened, or whatever in-house custom games you guys did.
Yeah, the streams.
Where Jizuke was playing in some of them and didn't look that impressive at all. This was obviously before the split started. In Challenger, I felt like he was fine, but he wasn't like a standout. When I talked to some of the mid laners, they didn't really highlight him either as someone you had to look for. And then like the first few weeks, he actually like managed to go crazy on different things, especially Rise. So I felt like he's probably my biggest surprise when it comes to just something I had not expected at all in this split.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, the mechanical outplays are really good. A lot of it is
kind of went slowed down a little bit, but
I think it's also like I would say that he also looks better than other mid laners because of the way Vitality plays.
Mm-hmm.
So the way they play, they allow each player to do things that they want to do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they are not the team that is gonna play by the book. So a bit like us last year, you know. So
yeah.
even when they get Baron or if they play against Baron, they will try a lot of really weird things to like get back into the game or get advantages. So it allows Jizuke to like get picks on the side or do things like that.
Yeah, there's a great example. I believe it might have been last week where a Baron was being started by a team with Jin AD carry. I forgot the team name, but they had Jin AD carry. And then out of nowhere, Gilius like shows up bot lane, attacks the Vladimir who's trying to sit there like an idiot, not expecting it. You know, he dies. They try and go Baron with Jin. It's too slow. They get ace and they lose the game. Like that's one of those plays which I felt like a lot of teams wouldn't have made. You know, Odoamne, do you have anything to comment on that specific play?
Yeah, I think I didn't watch that game, honestly.
Oh, you didn't watch? No, it's fine. That's...
I think I was busy with something else.
Yeah. Still,
I mean, to be fair, this is what you get for being passive aggressive and a dick about it. He can just blow off the question.
I mean, I'm not surprised he didn't watch. He played like one who didn't watch at least, so that's fine.
Hard carries until like the last
It's
5
true,
minutes
actually.
of the game. Oh.
It was a interesting game to watch, I will say, and it was one of the examples of Vitality doing something a little bit unexpected, which for some reason gave them a win.
I will also say, biggest surprise for me, maybe not for everyone, like Wonder. I think I've been playing a lot better than what he used to. So I'll probably put him in there with Jizuke.
Odoamne, do you agree?
I think it's pretty fair. I think this iteration of G2, I feel like he's doing a lot better. I feel like the team has, you know, a more set in stone system for how everyone wants to play and stuff. So it's kind of easier for him to perform. And I think it's kind of easier for any player once you develop this sort of system to kind of come into your own play style and start doing good. For example, you can look at Splice, for example. In the first 5 weeks, I was pretty much terrible. I was dying every game, but that's just because we didn't really, you know, develop this play style that everyone kind of felt comfortable and knew what to do. And in the last couple of weeks, I haven't entered as much.
You've been really good. Give yourself credit.
Thank you. But I feel like it's the same with Wonder. I feel like on Splice, they didn't really have this, you know, proper system. I feel like they had a system, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it wasn't really, you know, the best they could do. And I feel like with G2 and what they're doing over there, I feel like it's coming together. So he kind of has all the tools to do well. I don't want to take away from his credit by putting out on the team creating this environment, but regarding his personal performance, I think he's doing really good this split so far.
Super quick question on that. Was he your vote for All-Pro top laner?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I can't vote for myself, so.
That's true. Would you if you could?
I mean, if I could erase...
If you look at the entire split.
Okay, then no. But if I could erase the first 5 weeks, maybe I would put myself up there. But
honestly,
given the circumstances, no.
That's like 50% of the votes. It's like they sucked at the start, and it's like, but they're so good now. They're so good.
Yeah, I think overall, if you take the first 5 weeks, this split hasn't really been the greatest for me. I don't think I feel like maybe I'm at the top now with how I played in the last weeks, but if you take the whole split, I think I'm not there.
Yeah. I'm curious, so we've talked a lot about the biggest surprises in kind of a positive way. What were the biggest disappointments? Like, who did you expect to be amazing that then, like, really didn't show up?
Queue up for the Schalke Misfits one.
Oh, man, come on.
I mean, yeah, queue up. Which one would you like to take first? You can go.
Okay, so as you choose one. You choose either Misfits or Schalke, and I choose the other one, and then we shit talk.
I mean, yeah, I was thinking of Misfits anyway.
Oh, yes, I wanted Schalke anyway.
You get Misfits then.
Well, I mean, I don't think I think their lineup is really fine. I guess they just have some internal issues of they want to play the game eventually, or they just don't fit within the rules that the coach wants them to be in. Like, because Misfits always used to be the team that no matter what will play by the rules. So it just looks like they cannot really do that anymore, or they don't want to play this style. Like before, I mean, it's sort of still the same, but you actually knew what to expect in the game. And even if you have no walls on the map, like, what Misfits was doing. It was that simple when you're playing as them.
Because they would just always do the standard.
Yeah, even when they are like really good last year, like, you knew what they are doing without any vision. At least I knew what they would be doing if they are on bound. What to expect. A lot of different things, but right now I would need to watch their games like from another perspective rather than watch them play against other teams, like from their own perspective to see what's their core issues. So I cannot really tell myself right now, like pinpoint where are the issues, but yeah, probably biggest disappointment for me. I'd say I haven't. I said like 2-3 weeks ago that maybe they could like pick up their stuff and do better, but
we all said that. We all believe until the
playoff
end.
predictions right up until
we
the
still
end.
Put them there. It's interesting because with Misfits specifically, also just from like watching them play and talking to them and so on, like they still do a lot of things pretty well, especially early game. And we've said this all split long. Like they get ahead in most early games. Then they're like, okay, we know how to play around like Hansama in a side lane on Ezreal or something like that, and they know they have to go Baron now. And then instead of then going Baron, the call suddenly becomes random team fight somewhere, and then they seem to just kind of it falls apart shot calling wise on stage, which apparently was not the case in scrims, which is then the same problem we have seen in the past. You do one thing in scrims, you can't translate it to stage, and then like the whole mid-game shot calling just falls down, and then they have these like Israel comps that fall behind, and then suddenly they can't win the late game team fight as easily, and then everything just drops down, and they start losing too many games in best of one. So it's a shame because I actually think they would have been much better in BU5 than BU1. But if you don't win out of 18 games more than 7, you obviously don't deserve it then.
I mean, if there's more game or best of 3, like for sure they will probably be higher. It's usually like you just see no matter what, like which are the actual best teams, but yeah.
Sucks Odoamne.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Schalke on the opposite side. Misfits pretty disappointing, didn't make it to playoffs. Schalke also didn't make it to playoffs. Odoamne, what's your hot take on Schalke?
I mean, it's kind of disappointing because, coming to the split, if I would see that lineup on roster, and when I saw that lineup on paper, I would have told myself that that's a pretty sick lineup, and they're in the contention for, winning the whole thing just because they kind of have the individual talent everywhere. But I feel like the problem with them is they're just kind of these scrim gods and they don't really do anything. I mean, that's the reputation coming into the split. They're kind of scrim gods, but I feel like even in scrims, they're not really scrim gods anymore. I feel like I don't know what really is the problem there. I feel like with them, there's just a lot of egos everywhere, and then when they just start losing, their confidence just kind of starts falling apart. For example, I don't know why Uzichachi is being put on Maokai every single game when I feel like he's way better than that. He could just abuse his laning phase and plays like an animal to get like leads for himself, but he's pretty much stuck on Maokai duty, and I feel like the other people aren't really doing well either.
Do you think it was like team choice? For example, like when we played them, like they banned on Shogat and picked Maokai. This is really sad.
I mean, let's look at the tier list here. What else they should have banned? Look at the sOAZ.
I don't think you
so
need my
Or
handwriting.
and Cho'Gath are banned.
No, but they wait. I don't remember if they
There's Shen.
they
Shen
picked
on
it
the list.
into or if they blinded, but it's
They
like
last picked them out.
They have
guys.
Shen.
Yeah,
and
so
Poppy.
they-
Oh, is
they
the
last
counter
pick-
pick Maokai? I know that one.
they last picked Maokai with this, but like it makes absolute no sense. It was like they actually pre-planned that, or if they
Maybe they wanted an easy lane
it
for
was-
Pride to
it was
gank. I
very-
don't know.
They've very clearly been
yeah, but they could
committing
have
to
just
that.
they could have just not banned any tanks and just pick another. Like we will have never banned them or
Yeah, I don't see why you would ban those things, especially if you're on a last pick top.
So I have a question then, and you guys have now been playing for a while, sOAZ obviously since forever, over the last 3-4 years now. There is so often this.
Whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, it's like 8 years. There's always this kind of thing where some teams are just really good in scrims and then really bad on stage.
Mhm.
Do you guys have any idea, like, why is it so hard to translate it to stage?
I think for this year particularly, there's like the explanation of best of one, in my opinion. Getting more games on stage will help a lot of teams and put the teams that cannot keep up with the flow more on the bottom. So eventually, like we are talking about H2K, for example, and I think maybe if they had more stage games with this, like with the new lineup, sort of, like they'll probably be higher eventually. Like Misfits will have more, not like sort of more chances to like play better. Like maybe the standings will be different. So I think for this year you can say in terms of best of 3, best of 1. From the past, I think it was more. It's sort of like the same thing. Like some teams just cannot keep up with like the games and the rhythm and the patches eventually, but not entirely sure.
I feel mostly just because, most of the teams not most of them, there's some teams that they scrim in a really, stupid way. For example, think about like
who won the names?
the names of. I mean,
No,
I can think about one team.
you could say Schalke, for example.
Really?
Yeah?
Well,
Who
yeah,
would you
okay.
think of?
I was thinking Vitality, but
Or that. But, but I don't know, they're just people. Imagine you have 3 lanes that have no wards and they just all push like dogs.
In scrims, yeah.
Yeah, and then that happens on stage and they're like, oh, I don't want to get ganked and die. I don't want to lose the game for my team. And then that just creates poor habits. Because you don't get this sort of, consistency. Because that's an issue I had as well at one point, where I would just play like an animal in scrims and be like, oh, if I gank, I can outplay it or unlucky. And then I go in stage against this guy and he freezes the wave in front of his tower and my jungle is on both sides. And I'm like, well, now I have to zone myself because if the jungler is behind me, then I'm doomed. And the jungler was behind me, so I was doomed. But but yeah, like stuff like that. I feel like you need to create these good habits in scrims, so when they happen on stage, you don't really panic,
Right.
so you kind of know what to do. And I feel like that's an issue with a lot of teams with how they scrim and play. They don't create these good habits, so when they go on stage, they, for example, hug their tower, or they don't have any pressure on the map and they don't want to roam or do anything. So I think if people just stop playing like dogs in scrims and play more serious and, lose lane just so you don't get ganked, or you create this good habit of, having this consistently good playstyle where you're not a liability for your team, then I think it's fine. Because I feel like a lot of people just care too much about, looking good or stats like that. But for example, when you guys make the stats about me having, lowest CSD at 15, I'm like, I don't really care, because who cares if you're like 3 CS behind, as long as you're not like inting to ganks, or you can still like help your team or just be even. Like those 3 CS aren't really gonna matter. But if you're going to play like an animal and just die to ganks and I don't know, just have this bad habits, and I think that's why you're gonna be poor in LCS compared to scrims.
I think that's why it's so important to like learn how to play by the book, and I didn't really like our play style of last year too much, because not that we are playing different in scrims, but playing by the book like helped you to have the good habits. So I think that's one of the issues that like Vitality is encountering right now. that since they don't know and they didn't know to play by the book, or they didn't learn to, know that they are like playing a bit worse, they are just starting to question themselves of like what they should be doing.
Well, also you put yourself sometimes in situations where it's actually not in your favor, but you're like you have to commit to it because that's the only thing you know.
Yeah, if it
Yeah, because they don't have the good habits, so their early game is more of like just they're just like playing by feelings more than actually knowing what to do.
Yeah,
I mean, they probably know what to do individually, but at least they are not coordinating it with their team.
Yeah, because if you create these good habits in scrims, you're kind of in these uncomfortable positions that you should have been in scrims at one point or another, and then when they happen on stage, you're not really stressed, because you have this really small time frame where you need to think what's the best decision here, and then if you haven't been in this situation or you didn't create this situation in scrims, you're kind of stressed and you kind of start panicking, and that's why that's how you consistently start doing worse and worse.
That's really good. I think really interesting to hear actually talk about that. The practice makes
the habits, man.
Yeah, not the practice makes perfect, but the practice makes permanent, right? Transitioning that scrim performance onto stage and seeing how bad practice can just bring you down, even if you're winning the scrim.
Could also be other things, like it could also just be some players just generally performing worse on stage, or the shot calling falls apart because the guy who normally does it in scrims, whatever, doesn't do it on stage, tilts, nerves. I don't know. I feel like I've heard a lot of different reasons, at least, for why things won't translate.
I feel like nerves should be the smallest issue, though, because most of the players have been playing for such a long time, and you could say nerves, but I feel like there's always an underlying issue that's just not
100%. I noticed some players will still go on stage and kind of like really need some time to get into it, and that's where BO1 really punishes you because you don't have time.
Yeah,
you need to be ready instantly.
So for our next topic, we're going to be talking about gaming houses versus having an office and having a separate house. Odo, you, of course, recently had an article kind of about this environment.
You're the reason for
this was Deficio's idea. Deficio wanted to bring this up and discuss it.
No, not yet. We're going to have it for summer.
Summer?
Cool. Yeah. But I know a lot of teams are making the switch, so Deficio, why don't you kick us off?
Well, basically, a few years ago, no one had gaming houses in Europe. And then Season 3 came around. I think Fnatic was one of the first teams to get a gaming house.
5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago. Yeah, felt like it was yesterday was Season 3. Maybe not. So the hype stuff back then was everyone needed to get a gaming house. And if you didn't have a gaming house, you weren't part of the Cool Kid Club. And you couldn't actually properly practice. So then there was gaming houses for a while. But then I think last year I saw some teams change where there were apartments and then like an office for at least certain teams. And now, I don't know how it looks. No? How is it now?
Schalke, I believe, has an office.
Schalke had it.
Schalke.
As one of the examples for this. But you guys, do you have gaming house or do you have office?
We have gaming house, but we're getting an office for summer.
Okay, so you live in the same house where you practice. And Fnatic?
We have an office since like a year already.
Okay, so you separate, you live in the house together. And then you go to the office to practice.
Yeah, Reckless have an apartment. I have an apartment, and the others live in gaming house, and they go to the office to play.
So, what do you think is their strength about this kind of setup?
So, I was the one that was pushing a lot for office as well because I thought it would be better. But what I've noticed in terms of helping players, so I don't think there's too much difference for the younger players. Like thinking about Caps, for example, I don't think there's big difference for the younger players, but I think for the older players, it helps a lot to be able to get some fresh air, sort of,
live a normal adult life
exactly.
as well.
Relax a little bit, as the younger players doesn't realize or think about that, or they just don't care, So for the players that are like 17, 18, like it really, there's not much change to them, but I think for the players actually care about their life condition, it helps them a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, until last year or a year and a half ago, or even this year, I would have said the same, because when you're young and you just kind of got into league and stuff, you don't really care about anything else because you're 18, 19, and you're just having a lot of fun just playing League and someone pays you and that's cool. So
It's perfect explanation. Yeah.
you're kind of riding on this high where you're doing what you love and that's all that matters, and you feel like there's no need for anything else. But then you kind of start getting more mature, and then you kind of start setting priorities for yourself, and putting things into perspective and what you want to do after, or your general health and all of this stuff. And then you start thinking that the fact that you're stuck in a gaming house, because that's kind of what I feel like when you get older, you kind of feel like stuck in a way, because you're just on this huge grind for the whole time. And the problem is, I feel like with some orgs in the past, or that was kind of the culture, people just like look at you all the time and at what you do, and say you're in a gaming house and you don't want to play solo queue, or you want to like watch a movie or do something else. You're kind of under this magnifying glass, and they just kind of look at you, and unless it's like put out there, you kind of feel judged in a way, because you see everyone around you playing solo queue, but
right, and you don't.
And then you feel like you would want to play it, but you kind of feel like maybe this burned out or something, but you feel like your mental health doesn't really allow you to get good practice, and so you just want to take some time off and watch a movie, or play some other stuff. And you feel like if you do that, people are gonna like judge you and feel like and think that you're more unprofessional than they are, or you're not putting as much effort as they are. So that kind of creates, in a way, a toxic loop. And when you're a kid, you don't really care, because you
are playing solo queue like 12 hours a day.
Yeah,
right?
like you're
that's
enjoying the
the main
game
thing.
a lot. You're still riding that high that you're a pro player and you love it. So you just keep spamming and grinding games. But at one point, that kind of high ends, and
You just don't like playing the game as much anymore. So
I mean, it's not like you start taking it as a job. Well, it is a job, but I personally don't see it as a job still, in a way. But in a different light, it's still a job, And are there other games I would rather play and have fun with? For sure, but I still enjoy League to some level. And like, I don't mind, grinding it when there's, new patches and all of this stuff. But there's just like one point where you just want to chill, and I feel like people might judge you and all of this stuff. And I feel like if you have your, personal space where you're not under this magnifying glass, and you can, do everything you want. And as long as, you still perform well, you like, in scrims you show up, you do good games, on stage you do good games, then I feel like people shouldn't really, care as much. I feel like maybe there should be, a norm of how many games you should play on solo queue and stuff.
This is something we experience in casting, right? It's like we definitely get burned out as things go longer, and I think there is a perception kind of in any high intensity job that if you're not constantly like nose to the grindstone. But I'm curious from your perspective, Odo, like sOAZ, you actually have experience in this, like having an apartment versus living in a gaming house, having these separations. Do you think that like if it was all 5 Splice guys living in a house and going to an office every day, does that really stop you from feeling like there's this pressure when you get home back to the house to play more games or to practice more?
I think it depends completely of like what do you have in the gaming house. If it's like if your room is consisted in just a bed, and then you go back to the office, like then there's gonna be no difference, like it's still gonna. So you need to like sort of feel like when you're in your room, it's time off, So I think it depends of the people, and yeah.
So for you, Odo, I mean, if you were to look at your gaming house now and you guys got an office, I know you guys have that area where you scrim in currently with 5 computers. Would you want that changed? Would you want like everyone to have that computer that they would normally scrim on like in their room, and they could just do whatever they want and kind of keep those sectioned off so it is more of your personal space? Because my concern, right, would be that you go home and the young players, as you say, would go on to solo queue, and then you're still in the same way that it would have been in a gaming house, the guy not playing solo
But if you're in
queue.
your own room, right? Maybe that doesn't.
Maybe. What do you think? What's like the ideal setup in terms of like arranging a gaming house / office?
I mean, we do have PCs in each and every one of us our room, so we have that option. But just the fact that it's still a gaming house and there's 5 PCs there in the living room, so everyone's just using that. But ideal scenario would be you have an office where you just spend most of your day there and play. But for time off, it would be, you kind of need this place that you kind of feel like at home, For example, if I go back to my place in Romania and I go there, it needs to kind of have that same feeling where, it's your personal space, you can do whatever, you feel at home. And I feel like that's the problem with gaming houses. Most of them just have, a bed and a lamp in your bedroom.
Important with the lamp here.
You just have, this basic functionality, but there's nothing, like extra that makes it feel like your room and stuff like that. It doesn't have any personal touch to it.
But can I jump in there? Because I feel like, so your room, how big is your room in the Spice House? Like, is there room for more than a bed and a lamp?
Yeah, for sure.
Have you gone out yourself and said, I want to look at furniture and buy some furniture because I want this to be my place?
Yeah, but you see the problem with that is if I switch teams, then that's probably staying there. That's the thing.
I mean, it's very easy to actually get someone for very, very, very low amount of money to come pick up the stuff and take it to the next. Like, that's just called moving apartments, right?
There's one of the issue. It was the same thing for me. I'm still thinking right now, like, for example, for most players, if they are not complete stupid, they will ask for the contract to end this year. So a lot of players' contract will probably end this year, at least for me. So next year, you don't know if you go to NA maybe, or whatever, right? So like you're not gonna put all your like, you maybe pay like 2,000 or 3,000 for like all your furniture, right? If you want like really good mattress, really good bed frame, if you want like have a nice desk, a TV, table, whatever, all this stuff, it's probably like, let's say 2,000, right? So you're not gonna put all of this stuff like there, right?
Because there's a chance
course,
you go, okay.
Yeah, of course. I mean, maybe not for everyone. At least that's what I was thinking for myself, and anyone that is like a bit of thinking, then is the same, right? So it depends. It depends. Like obviously, it's not for players. It's not that much money, but at least for me, I don't do so much expenses. So it's like 2,000 is 2,000,
Yeah, and so. I think it feels bad to spend that money in yourself, and then no matter how much it is or how much you're making, and then have this potential where you feel like you're going to lose it, right? Like,
it's just this level of uncertainty. Because if there was,
and if you get kicked, and then the guy, imagine you
takes your stuff
takes your room with your stuff, then you feel extreme bad.
Yeah, like that sucks.
I would rather just throw it in the street, than give it to the new guy.
I mean, if you buy it, it's your stuff though. I think you could probably move it out. That is the argument I'd make. But here's my question, right? Because I can see that can be an uncomfortable investment. But if it really does make you feel more at home, this is not to say you shouldn't have an office in a gaming house, but like if it makes you more comfortable and happier in your room, is it not worth it to like invest in that space? Even if you're like throwing away that money in the end, right? Would you not pay the $2,000 or $3,000 a year, let's say, even if you moved every year, to like be happier in your living space?
I mean, I think it's worth, but the bigger issue with the whole, gaming house situation is more like, as I said, you have no personal space and kind of like no privacy. And for example, say you have your girlfriend visiting or whatever, and then you're like, hey guys, I'm just gonna, for a couple of days, I'm gonna play less solo queue because my girlfriend is here for like once a year, and I really don't want to be a dick and just not be with her and like go out, get some food or whatever. And then everyone's like, haha, this guy's not playing solo queue, let's just bash on him or whatever. I feel like that's the bigger issue because you don't have this option.
Right.
I heard the H2K stories.
I can neither confirm nor deny this aspect.
Good answer.
But a lot of what you mentioned there is...
Did you got chain and you had to play more solo queues?
I can neither confirm nor deny this.
Okay. Some stuff happened there. No, but I have a thing to add to this specifically, because this is obviously a big difference between like regular sports and esports in a sense. Like in regular sports, typically because of physical conditions, you have to only practice a certain amount of time a
because
day.
You couldn't practice at home.
Yeah,
There's just not enough room.
Yeah,
where would you put the weights and the football field?
But even then, it's still not healthy, because if you like overwork yourself, like
exactly, your body just can't handle it. So
there's just like one limit, and then everything after that is just useless.
But I think a lot of teams, when it comes to them esports, and especially because of young players and just because of the current mindset there is like you have to practice 12 to 14 hours a day. Instead of it, I think once it matures a little bit more, let's say we had a team of, how old are you, Odo?
I'm 23 now.
You're 23. Let's say we had a team of 5 players, all 23, 24-ish, who's played for multiple years. I think it's a lot easier to then sit down as a team and say, okay, guys, we have learned that we only need to practice so our scrims plus a couple of solo queue games a day for just a normal regular season when there's not a new big patch. And then after like 8 hours of work, which for some people is a normal work day, it's okay that you kind of can do whatever you want. If you want to play more, that's fine. If you want to go out and do stuff, that's also fine. So I think once teams mature a little bit more, they could come to that kind of agreement where you don't feel like, and I'm not talking about gaming house versus office here, but just where you don't feel like, oh my God, if I don't practice 12 hours all the time, people are gonna, flame me if we lose or if I play bad. And it's just, we have this problem where because it is still very immature and we have a lot of really young players who just only know playing solo queue, and then that kind of becomes the mindset. I think that will hopefully change a little bit over the years, because I think,
to add on what you're saying, I think in the upcoming years it's gonna change a bit, but I think it's because I think coaches and coaching staff is gonna get better. So this is gonna mean that the players are gonna need to like eventually watch less, or play a bit less. So I think if the coaching staff is a full trust of the players, then I'm not gonna feel the need to watch every game and know everything about my thing, about or watching other roles to like eventually help teammates, or do this kind of stuff. So I think this is gonna help eventually, like coaching staff getting better at that.
And kind of the other thing seems to me is like really getting that trust together, right? Because I think if like I trust, let's say Odo to be a good top laner and he's consistently performing, I shouldn't care if he's playing solo queue like at all, right? If he shows up every week on stage and he absolutely smashes it, all you need to know is that whatever he's doing, he's getting to that level of performance, right?
Yeah, and a lot of it is about like pushing the needle is kind of what in Riot at least
we got
always
a lot
talk
of
about
buzzwords.
where like the whole pushing the needle concept is about like the amount of hours you put into something, how much do you actually gain from it? And if it's like if you as a caster sit and you go through 10 VODs, but you go through them like it's just a grind over like 6 hours, you barely gain anything because like it's 6 hours of just nonstop watching that. Your brain
after VOD like 2, you're just dead.
Yeah, your
right?
brain doesn't pick it up anymore. You just kind of watch it to watch it, and you don't really push the needle. You don't really gain anything special. I think a lot of it for especially the more veteran pro players is going to be the same. Like if you play 3 to 4 extra solo queue games a day, do you feel a big difference? Do you feel like you're getting better? Or you're just doing the same over and over? And it's just...
I can say a lot about that because I used to not play many solo queue at all during the season. And this year I've been playing a lot more solo queue overall, like more on a daily basis. Before I would do eventually depending of patches. So I will grind a bit more if there's a patch or if there's a champion that I need to pick up
so new patches
or practice, right? And now I'm just playing more solo queue overall, regardless if there's new champions. So even if there's no champions or no patches, I will be playing more solo queue. And I mean, this is for me specific, but I don't think it helps me at all because I just get more frustrated. I just get way more frustrated with the game and with everything. It just frustrates me a lot more to play more solo queue. So for me specifically, it doesn't help. So I don't feel like there's any difference with my play really, or with any. I mean, maybe there's like a tiny bit difference. At least I don't really notice it too much myself.
Maybe if you played more carries that required like ton of, let's say it was like Riven, that kind of stuff.
That's what I do. I mean, I just swap champions. I don't play like maybe like 70% of, maybe like let's say 65% of the champion I play is like in solo queues like GP, Swain or whatever,
Okay.
So I just play. I played, for example, when I was like a high master or low master, I was playing a lot of Riven just for fun. Like I played a lot of Fiora, for example. It's not about the carry. It's just it just like, for me, playing solo queue to just playing solo queue with no purpose is just bad. But that's for me. I think it's more for me specifically. I think for some other players, like, but I see some younger players like Caps, for example. Like, sometimes I'm just asking him like, why are you playing solo queue? You know, because he's really running it down sometimes.
Oh, I can relate to that one.
But that's the same for everyone. Like, even me, sometimes I just run it down because, like, I'm just playing solo queue, but I'm not.
You know, like,
I don't
you're
have
not thinking, you're not learning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why should I play solo queue? But I think this comes also with the pressure. I mean, sort of pressure from like teams, you know, to just like grind games and just have this mentality of playing.
It's like a tangible example that you're putting work in.
Even though there's no rules,
visible.
like there's always in any single team there's pressure of playing.
What about you, Odo?
I mean, I feel like what sOAZ says is relatable because there's just some players. For example, if you're young, I feel like, for example, Caps' situation, you can just grind games and if you can get a lot out of. But for me, when there's, you know, a new patch or there's a new champion I need to play, or there's like some matchups that I actually actively have to look out for and get better at them, then I feel like it helps. And it kind of, you know, maybe I don't get better, but just the fact that I can get more knowledge out of the things I'm seeking just kind of gives me more confidence in a way. I don't feel like my mechanics get better or anything, but I feel like mostly why I play solo queue now is just to, you know, practice the new things that I need to learn and look out for, and it just kind of boosts my knowledge. That's mostly why I'm playing solo queue now. If there's like, you know, certain like wards I need to place or look out for, or certain roams I need to practice, then I just do them in solo queue. Like, laning phase is not really something that people practice anymore, I feel like. Especially now that we played for such a long time, it's mostly whenever I play solo queue, I just practice decision making mostly.
The game changed a lot as well, which doesn't really help solo queue being better, I think, because the game is so much more of a team game since the last 3 years or so. I don't think playing solo queue is like as much fun as it used to, in my eyes at least. But
I mean, it depends on metas. For example, if there's tank meta top or...
But even if it's, I
feel like if you risk, you get punished way more. And so, that's the problem. Because, for example, even if you play carry versus carry and you try to like practice your own V1, if you get ganked once,
sure, the jungle will always show up.
It's still so much more about team play. It's better for you to just wait for jungler and gank. Like, I don't know. Even if it's carry meta for top, it's not really. It's not really that fun. There's no 1v1s barely. Like, the most you can get is just a freeze in front of your tower, and then you just wait.
Interesting. That's difficult for solo queue. I do want to take it back though, because the original part was talking about offices and gaming houses, and so kind of just to round out this discussion, the last question I want to ask is do you think that all orgs moving forward should look to have this kind of setup where you have a separate workplace and home place, whatever that is? If that's players having apartments, having like a house and an office, whatever that looks like, separating those two spaces. Do you think that's, now from what you guys have experienced, from what you've learned, is that just the best way to set it up now?
I think it should be like this, but I think they should also support it. Not just give the player like an apartment or a gaming house and an office. Like, they should actually help with the concept of it. You know, like eventually, like seeing with the player, you know, if what he wants for his home, or help with eventually, you know, cleaning or whatever.
Basically,
because
take care
I think
of that kind of stuff.
A lot of players I've never had. I mean, at least I never had an apartment before myself. So there's a lot of things that you need to know if you're living by yourself. You know, so yeah. I mean, I'm sure a lot of players will be a bit more dirty, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
so.
you
definitely need to sort of clean
lot of
later.
stuff when you go from parents' house to gaming house.
That's true. You definitely clean later. I would also say, like, just not as a player now, but I can see some young players who get into the LCS, have basically zero life skills, and putting them in their own apartment, even if you help them with cleaning and stuff, is probably not the smartest.
Yeah, that's why we'll never give a Caps an apartment.
Maybe I was hinting towards Caps, maybe not, but having a normal life where you actually can like wake up and eat like decent food, and you go to bed at a somewhat decent time. These kind of things are pretty important for your mental health and your body. And I can see a lot of players, certain casters, won't mention any names, could struggle with that. And it could affect them in the long run. So I guess the young players, maybe it is better you have them in an actual
I think
gaming house.
It's just better. I feel like orgs just need to identify who they're dealing with and what's like their team-like mentality and everything. Because, for example, if you have a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds, then I think, having office space and gaming house is useless. You should just have one gaming house because they kind of have zero life skills and they don't really know what they want with their life. Like, they legit don't know. They're just, as I said, they're riding this high that they're doing what they love and they need to be nurtured and, kind of taught and matured in that house. But if you have, older players, then I feel like that gaming house scenario is kind of obsolete just because you kind of reach that maturity level that you don't really need it anymore. Because even if I don't play solo queue or anything and I just sit there, like, I'm a professional and, if I feel like if I'm not going to play solo queue, then I'm going to become shit, then I'm going to do something about it. Like, I don't want my career to just end just because I become this lazy bastard and I don't do anything. So I'm gonna like do something about it. And I feel like that's the mentality with anyone that's like mature enough to take this as a job and something they love. So, even if I don't play solo queue and if my teammates will tell me, hey, you're legit shit, you need to play more solo queue, I'll be like, oh, he's probably right. And if this was me when I was like 18 and he would tell me, hey, you're bad. You need to play more soccer. And I'll be like, I'm gonna murder you. You don't talk to me like that, because you just have this like child ego, and you cannot really differentiate like your emotions from like constructive criticism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you get to an age, that gaming house is just fairly useless.
I think
so. Maybe the Fnatic setup makes a lot of sense. A bunch of players are actually in the gaming house, and the older players have their own apartments.
For teams all, like, I think it's interesting what he said, like, about identifying who they are dealing with. And I think a lot of teams and coaches, coaching staff, just staff overall, doesn't realize that it's important to, like, I think it's more important to identify who you're talking to and do a case by case. I don't think you can put everyone in the same bag anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's not possible. And I think that's what so many people have been doing. And like even us, for example, last year, and that like I've been fighting a lot for, because there's like a lot of issues within staff and just a lot of other things that I'll probably don't want to talk about, but
sOAZ and hating on coaches, man. Even more iconic.
No, but
duos.
yeah,
sOAZ can be coached.
There's like this. I think it's just so important overall to do case by case, because there's a lot of players that deals with different things. So.
Different ages, different personalities.
I want to see how it develops over. Of course, summer split just around the corner, so maybe we'll see more teams like Splice, like Fnatic, opting to go for these gaming house office setups, opting to go for case-by-case basis. But thank you, gentlemen, for that discussion. Before we get our next serious topic, quotation marks, we thought we'd mix it up. We put some Twitter questions in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Break some tension. Now, Deficio, you've been harvesting these from your wonderful thread of Twitter questions. What have you got for us?
First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who submitted questions. We have never received this many questions, except for the Gilius episode, where we had around 70 questions about smiting alone.
And then five
about some other stuff. But this one here is getting very close. The first question I want to pick here, because I think this is a good one, is from Flute? Whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah, this guy, Flute1406.
This guy.
Flute, whatever this guy's called. He's asking, who is better 1v1?
Oh.
sOAZ. Odoamne.
sOAZ, you get to start.
You mean all of top laners?
No, you and Odo.
Ooh, spicy.
I think laning phase wise.
Sure.
I think we are like pretty much equal laning phase wise. I wouldn't say that I'm better. I wouldn't say that he's better. I think it depends of timelines. Obviously, some days he's gonna be better. Some days I'm gonna be better. So I think it depends of the games, matchups, all this stuff. Like, you cannot say that this guy is better than me. Like, it depends of so many factors. I mean, that's the way I see it. So
I'd say we're about the same, but I just feel like laning phase wise, I think we're fairly equal, but I don't know. Like I can't match with Dogmaster here. Like, because the thing is, outside of lane, he does so much random shit that I feel like it doesn't make sense. But then when I see it and I
Then your
think
team
about,
dies and you're
and then I see it and I think about it, I'm like, holy fuck, this guy is a genius. I don't know. The one thing that he does really insane in lane, he's like camping really random brushes that I would never expect him to camp. He's insane at using brushes. But laning phase, I think we're fairly even.
So fairly even.
I would say before, like probably, like last year, for example, I would say that, for example, he will be better. He was better than me laning phase wise.
So
like I think this year is pretty equal.
I have a follow-up. This is actually multiple tweets that went with this one to this 1v1 question. Now you guys say you're even. And the question is specifically for you,
I know
Odo,
I know that one.
Why do you always die to sOAZ 1v1?
Okay, let me just get this here.
Yeah, you take a dog champ tier list.
Okay, the dog champ tier list. Okay, what was I playing? I played Cho'Gath
There's
once.
one Gnar against Orn.
Yes, it was Cho'Gath once and Gnar once. Okay, so if you look here, it says B Cho'Gath and C Orn.
So Orn has to kill.
So Orn
Cho'Gath.
has to win.
Okay.
And back then when I played Gnar,
He didn't know yet.
and back then when I played Gnar, I didn't realize that Orn was so busted that he actually beats Gnar. So I was kind of like.
So are you saying that Gnar is a B tier dog champion, or should Orn maybe not even?
Okay,
be
right,
on the list?
in this state, Gnar kind of beats all of these champions because Orn got nerfed. But back then, it was like according to the dog tier list, it was impossible for me to win.
Okay, I like it. We're going pretty fast here. This is really good. Got a bunch of questions as well. I didn't actually write this one down, but I'm taking it now because there's a lot of them.
So disrespectful.
I know. Top lane tier list in Europe. I don't want all 10. Just give me like top 5. Who are the top 5 top laners in Europe? Players. And you guys are obviously on the list. Yeah.
We
Who
can
are
put
the 3
ourselves.
other ones?
So it's you two.
I'm Wonder.
Wonder's on it.
I'll put so. You don't put first, second, etc.
No, we
just on the
just
list.
give us
I'll
top
put
5.
Yeah,
Just
let's give us top 5.
Wonder, Odo, Alphari, me. Who will be fifth or?
Because Chachi's only played Maokai, all split long.
Yeah,
Chachi would be there before.
Chachi would be there, but this split he's kind of not there, sadly.
Chachi would be there before.
Maybe Prophet,
Smitty J, Ruin.
No, I think Prophet over.
I would put Ruin actually.
Ruin?
Ruin?
Yeah.
You think he's been? I mean, I feel like
I think
if
it's
he
the
does,
same pack as Prophet.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, it's hard because I feel like they're similar. But Ruin, I feel like if he's not on Gnar, he's not really great.
He's more like he's more.
What about Cabo?
Ruin is more like you roll the dice.
Oh yeah, Cabo, yeah.
I
mean, he's looked decent. He's never carried like super hard carried, but he's looked fine in most.
I feel like in the beginning he was good, so I would have put him in there. But I feel like lately he's not really impacting as much. I think I would put Prophet in there.
Okay. I think they're all like.
You
can take really anyone. You can take Cabo. You can take Prophet.
You can argue for everyone, kind of.
So would you
outside
say
of these
instead
4.
we should just make a top 4 list?
The top 4 is Wonder, Odo, Alphari, sOAZ.
Yeah, that's fair.
In that order.
Whatever.
Not in that order. No,
Not in that order.
You know, like it actually doesn't matter because in the end, the better bot lane wins. You know. So.
Fair.
We're just dogs here all together.
Great point. All right, moving on.
There's your top 4. Wonder, Odo, Alphari, sOAZ. 5th place, you can make an argument for anybody.
I got 2 more questions. The last one's going to be the biggest one. So this one, what would happen to top lane without teleporting the game? And this is from Sergeant Dum Dum. So great name.
I love that name.
If TP was not in the game,
there was this
what would
guy in
happen?
solo queue, what was his name? Dumbo, Sergeant Dumbo.
Maybe it's him. Who knows?
But he was there, some guy called Dumbo.
I think the game might be more interesting for the viewers to watch. I think it will be a lot less for the players. I mean, at least for me, it will be less because I think what is exciting for me about the game is to learn new things and strategy-wise, just improve that and just like come up with like good strategy and just things like that, right?
And is that easier or harder with TP in the game?
I think TP makes it that there's more strategy involved in the game. So if it will be Ignite, it will be more just random and chaotic. So it will be way more solo queue-ish, you know? So I think it will be better eventually for viewers, you know, there'll probably be more action.
More top lane fighting.
Yeah.
More carries.
I mean, eventually, maybe not, you know? Like maybe you just Shoga just Ignite, feast you level 6 and you die, you know? Like, so you don't know what will happen. I think there'll be less strategy involved, so I probably wouldn't like that. Not that, like... People might think, you know, so he wants the TP.
I know, you've grown up so much. 3 years ago now that you were like, remove this summoner spell.
sOAZ is just salty because he cannot like live half of his ganks by TPing away.
What do you think, Odo? If we remove TP, what would happen in top lane?
I think, yeah, as sOAZ said, it's going to take a lot of strategy out of the game, but I feel like if you take TP out of top lane, then instantly it's going to become top meta, because I feel like if you die to a gank once and you have no TP and the lane is stuck in a bad spot, then it's really over. So I think bot lane, there won't be that much action around bot lane anymore. I think everyone's just gonna switch to playing top focus because it's just so easy to gank top compared to bot. And I don't even know if Ignite would be the main, you know, summoner spell. Because for example, you can maybe play tanks and play with, you know, exhaust or some random stuff. But if there will be carries with Ignite, then I think it's gonna be full top side. But I feel like it's just gonna take a lot of strategy away. There's not gonna be as much, you know, roaming and stuff. I feel like there's just everyone's gonna go to top lane and just try to kill. Because if you kill him once, then you freeze the wave, then it's really over.
All right, perfect. Last question we got, and this is something I know you guys have talked about in the past as well. It's from at Samasakul. I guess that's how you say the name. He's asking, what is your experience with the influence of fan backlash and Reddit analysis, and how should rookies handle social media? Let's do the first part first. What is your experience with Reddit analysis and fan influence?
Well, not the greatest.
That was a wholesome answer.
Yeah.
Good job, sOAZ. Nice and
That was
wholesome.
great.
No, I mean, it depends of like the team that you're in, obviously, and the player. Like, if you go to social media a lot, like a lot of things. Like I would say, probably the best is to actually just not even use social media, you know. But then something that I really like from the past is like, you know, the interaction with the fans, and that it's so easy for us to interact with them. So I think on the good days it's like super fun, you know, to like use social media and interact with everyone. And on the bad days, then you should probably just not use it, you know. But sometimes it's hard when you're like too emotional. Then you just, you know, like
you start reading it and you get mad. And...
Yeah. So for me, it used to happen a lot more. No, I just try to just not even do it. But
Yeah, for me it's kind of the same. I think now whenever we lose, I think I haven't opened the, you know, match history, the thing on Reddit. It's just really pointless. And even when you win, half the time people are just shit talking the enemy team for being bad and losing than you being good and winning. So it's not even on the good days or like when you win, it's not even worth it to check it, because it's just, I don't know, it just influences you so much, and the negatives just outweigh the positives a lot. So I just kind of gave up on reading, you know, match history or Reddit, or just using social media on, you know, when we lose and all of that stuff, because it's just, I don't know, the people that like write aren't even, you know, being sensitive about it, or like being, you know, trying to have empathy or
no
or whatever.
They just go all in.
Or I don't know, even when you win, I feel like, I don't know, like as sOAZ said, I kind of liked fan interaction a lot, but I feel like the way they're like, you know, portraying themselves or like even trying to like talk to you, it just doesn't even make it worth it for you to, you know, talk back to them or kind of give them attention, and that's kind of messed up.
Okay, so we know when it's flaming and you guys are losing, it's really bad and it's annoying. When you guys are winning and people write a bunch of positive stuff, does it then give you more confidence? Do you feel happy? Or you just like, I don't really care? Like the positive doesn't really impact you, but the negative does? Or does the positive comments actually do something for you?
I mean, the positive, for me, it doesn't really do much. It's more, I mean, what do the most is, well, like when you don't have like such a good time and then you have positive comments, you know, that's usually, but if you have a good time and you see positive comments, then it doesn't really influence too much because you're already happy, right?
Yeah.
So the most impactful thing is like if you're having a bad time, if you have bad comments, it makes it even worse, right? But if you have a bad time and you have positive comments, then it helps you a lot.
Okay.
But on the good times, it doesn't really affect, like negative or good doesn't really affect it too much, I think, at least for me.
That's interesting. Yeah, so it's for anyone listening, I think that's a good thing. If you really support a player and believe in a player and they have a bad game, I think be willing to tweet at them that, hey, you had a rough game, feel better, or alternatively go into the Reddit thread. I know I'm asking you to go into a minefield by praising a player or supporting a player. Everybody's just like, he should die, he should be removed from the team, bench him immediately. But I mean,
bench him mid-game.
If you really want to impact your favorite pro player's life,
Deficio tackle him off stage.
support him when he's down.
No, but the Reddit threads are really useless because I feel like the healthy approach is just to dodge the Reddit threads. But if people want to be nice to you, they should just tweet at us because even. In our darkest times, whenever we feel like really bad, and actually, I never thought that it would like help us that much. But when we're having like bad games or like terrible weeks or whatever, and you see like this random positive comment, just because you don't expect anyone to be positive, you expect everyone to just be a douchebag, to be a douchebag towards you and just flame you and just want to like murder you and just kick you off the team and out of League of Legends. Whenever you see that positive comment, kind of like makes you feel better about yourself. You don't feel like you're that bad anymore. But I don't know, like whenever we have bad days, we don't even check Reddit anymore. Yeah. It's just really pointless.
Cool. All right, thanks guys. Well, that's it for Twitter questions. As Fisher said, thank you so much for sending in so many. We'll continue to ask for them.
Thank you,
keep sending them in.
Thank you, Dum Dum.
Sergeant Dum Dum.
Sergeant Dum Dum.
Remember his title.
Sergeant Dum Dum.
He's higher ranked than you, sir. Civilian. Now we get to the meat of the show.
Everything else was just the build-up.
Everything else is all appetizers, guys. We're here. This is your entree. It is the quarterfinal preview. We have locked in quarterfinals. Friday will be Splice playing versus Rawcat. Saturday is Vitality versus H2K. We're gonna be.
That's the big game.
That's the big game. Yeah, God, the Friday one not very important.
I mean, I'm used to people thinking Splice is useless and everyone else is just bad, so that's why we're.
Dude, I picked you guys to make top 2.
Oh, and we didn't.
Let me down.
We didn't, so it doesn't matter anymore.
All right, so I'm not actually sure what's the best way to start here. Where do we want to start? We can talk about team styles. We can talk about individual players. We can talk about swapping to best of 5s.
Well, we did write down our prediction for the quarterfinal. Maybe we should start there.
Yeah, let's do that. So I had you guys write down a bracket. We're only going to talk about quarterfinals today, but Odoamne, why don't you tell us your predictions for? Let's start with Splice versus Rawcat. What do you predict to happen?
I think we're gonna take it. I think best of 1s aren't really our big thing, but with best of 5s, I expect us to be better. And given how we improved this split towards the end, and even though we had some screw ups against Vitality and G2, I feel like both of those games were kind of in our hands, and we just messed up. I think we can take Rawcat. I put them, I think 3-0, but it could be 3-1 as well. But I think it should be one-sided.
3-0?
No, 3-0 is fine.
There you go.
So,
okay, 3-0 is fine. Sorry, guys.
Do you agree?
I do agree. I don't know if it will be a 3-0. I think 3-0, 3-1.
Yeah.
First place.
Oh, yes. Now I feel better about myself.
All right.
I put 3-0 Splice.
Oh, yeah. Now I feel even better.
Okay, I put 3-2. But you still...
No, we're going to lose.
I believe in you still. Okay, so... Why is Splice the better team here? Why do you think that Splice?
Okay, because we're ranked 3rd and they're ranked 6th.
I got it. That's how the basic math works, Mr. Reddit analyst. Yeah. Now maybe explain to me the matchups, not just that we're number 3, so therefore we must be superior. Where do you think you actually have the edge in terms of strategy, in terms of team strength? Where do you?
Why
think,
not both?
Could be both, right? But where is that edge?
I feel like Rawcat is still kind of playing too slow. They're always drafting for scaling, and I feel like their drafts for top side of the map is fairly weak. They're kind of putting profit on tank duty most of the time, and I feel like tanks are somewhat obsolete now because with all the nerfs coming in and stuff, I feel like just some AP tops and maybe Gangplank Kamigal Gnar are just a bit better than tanks. And I feel like if they...
The dog is unleashed.
Yeah, I'm out of my cage so I can play some League. But I feel like top side of the map is exploitable for them. And I just feel like individually across the board we have just better players. And I feel like our macro is better as well. And yeah, you guys get the trend.
Okay.
Yes. sOAZ.
I think Rocket have some issues like with coordination still.
Oh, those Anivia walls were something magical.
If you had just said that was your only argument, you just said Blancs and Nivea, I would have been like, well played. On to the next matchup.
Yeah. I mean, the Splice used to be like just playing for late, and now they are, since like maybe 2 weeks or so, like they are getting a lot better at early game. So they will definitely be, I mean, they're definitely way better than Rocket right now. But, you know, there's like, depends of prep, right? Because it's best of 5. So
Splice have like 5 coaches. Surely they're like more prepared.
No, but yeah, preparation have a lot to do with best of 5 and where it's gonna be like who have more strategy sort of.
Yeah. So from your perspective, Deficio, who do you think is more exploitable between these two teams? We talked about preparing for best of 5. Who do you think is maybe shown more vulnerability that can be taken advantage of if you have a full week of prep?
Well, that's kind of the thing, because after Splice learned that they have a top laner that you can actually play towards in the early game. That was a
weird time, by the way.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, coaches. I would like to thank Peter, Dunn, Duke, and Mac for realizing that I exist.
Thank
you, Splice coach.
It's gotten a lot more stable. Also, the thing about Niski is while he's not the best player on the team, he rarely like plays super aggro in lane and like does really dumb things, so you can like just camp him like we've seen with other mid laners. So it's kind of hard to just fully shut down any specific lane, I feel, on Splice's side. And Memento is not the kind of jungler who will just like perma-gank every lane and try and like snowball one specific guy. He's like very calculated, at least from the outside. That's what it looks like. So to me, Rocket just lacks like a clear strength.
The X factors.
They lack like
it's such a buzzword.
It is. That's why I didn't say X factor.
What do you? Okay, but
I was thinking about it. You know.
That was
when I hear X Factor, I just want someone to get off the shit and start singing.
Look, the thing is, Rocket for me, they don't have like a clear star player or a great best lane they play around to actually find like almost a guaranteed advantage. I feel like Blank has been kind of the guy to rely on the most when it comes to late game, and teams just ban Azir, and then suddenly it's like, okay, now he has to find something else to carry on, and he's not really been able to do that during the split. So
to add on that, I think like even if they have a good draft towards either top lane, you know, or bot lane, I don't think they will use the advantage good enough to like get the game snowballing and keep it snowballed, you know what I mean? So I think this is gonna be like one of the issue for them.
It just feels like they lack something. They can like they lack one lane, or they lack like one style where they're just really good at it. Like you could take Misfits, right, and said, okay, their early game is actually really good. So maybe they can like snowball against Splice. They can shut down 1 or 2 lanes, and then they can try and get early Baron and see if they can finish out. But Rocket, they don't have that, and it feels like they have to get ahead early to actually do well, because when they're behind, they lose every game. So
yeah, but to add on that, did you know that Splice has the second lowest gold advantage at 15?
Let's try and cut the split in half and see for the second half what that gold advantage is at instead of the entire split.
You are right. I'm just gonna take my point back.
Maybe Splice's numbers are not as bad, but you are correct. If you take the full split, it looks really bad. I don't know.
I just feel like saying, even if they get ahead and they have no chance.
Splice late game, baby.
Yeah. The old Zillion Caitlyn. But what was Odo playing in those compositions? I forget.
I was playing Ornn.
So,
See your dog.
See to your dog champ.
I kind of hope Rocket shows up with something super cool. Maybe like unique strategy, or maybe
Like Anivia's Corner,
yes,
Anivia's Cyan.
there you go. Those kind of things. I just wanted something. I just wanted something special from them. Otherwise, I think they're just a worse
How about
version
AP
of Splice.
Ezreal mid or Ziggs?
Let's not take anything from Power of Evil here. Cool.
What? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Splice win this game. I think we all agree, and we're gonna look really dumb when Rocket 3-0 them.
Okay, but we're all agreeing, so there's no wager to be made here.
That's true.
I mean, we can all be wearing the suit.
Oh,
Wait, hang on.
Okay,
That's why I didn't go into specifics.
Ah.
Okay, there you go. All right.
I didn't want to pop the surprise.
So the audience knows we have a very special bet planned, and we'll reveal it later. But first, now that we've locked it in, Splice appears to be the podcast favorite. 4 votes. Now, there are various scores, most of them in the 3-1, 3-0 range. I'm the only 3-2. We'll see what happens. Our next matchup, Vitality H2K.
H2 what? Come on, guys.
H2K.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was
That was great, but I love it.
that was a little sad.
They're like the only chant we had. Splice, they don't have a chant.
It's like Splice. Splice.
Yeah, that's
Splice.
What are you gonna say after games?
1, 2, 3, Splice.
It's hard.
What
You
is
need
your,
a 3
what is your
syllable.
prediction?
Yeah,
For H2K, Vitality.
Oh.
I actually put the H2K, Vitality 3-1 for H2K, and I may or may not be bound by contract with my former team to say this.
to predict them to win. Okay, good to know.
Let's go all the way around.
We're gonna
and see
call
what
that a
people got.
vote. All right, so as you're next.
I put Vitality. I'm not sure about score. I think mainly we didn't play too much H2K and we play more Vitality, and we think Vitality is good still. But if Odo think H2K, then I'm doubting a little bit.
No. You stick with it.
I still think Vitality, but maybe if you think H2K is good, like it's probably gonna be closer than what it is. But I still think Vitality will take it. But if he thinks H2K, I think it's gonna be a lot closer.
Okay. I put 3-2 H2K.
Ooh, okay.
So that is very close, but H2K wins.
All right, here's the deal. I put Vitality 3-0.
There's some.
So
that's a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're gonna get them. Here's my theory: they're gonna come out with something special game 1 because they do like to do weird
Lane
stuff.
swaps.
Lane swaps.
They're not Fnatic of last year.
You got
Let's calm
last
down.
year. And they're gonna win the game, and I think H2K is just gonna collapse.
You think they don't have the mental strength?
I don't think they have the men. To be fair, the same argument could probably be made the other way that H2K will win game 1.
It's always hard to get in the
Vitality
brain
will try some crazy cheese strat, not be able to close. H2K comes back with their signature pray to God Sheriff can carry us at 30 minutes no matter what the goal deficit is strat. Win game 1 and Vitality collapses, but I think Vitality are gonna get
So we got 2 Vitality, 2 H2K basically.
And
That
we
sets
have
up a great
great wager. But let's talk about it before. The wager is last, folks. Don't worry. There's gonna be a good one. But let's talk about why. So I guess start with Odo, since you appear to be the most confident in H2K with the 3-1 finish. What is it? Something about H2K, or is it something that Vitality is missing that makes you so confident in this matchup?
I feel like Vitality is just kind of struggling this like last half of the split. Even though they picked up that win against us, they're like 2-7 for
3-7.
3-7 for this second half of the split, and H2K is just totally the opposite. They've just been powering through the last half of the split and they're doing good. The only way I see Vitality winning this is if H2K top just dies to every gank, like he has this tendency to, then I feel like Vitality is just going to snowball games. But I feel like if H2K can just neutralize and just kind of keep it even, I think H2K can just win because Sheriff is just, I think he can just power through Vitality's lineup.
On that topside point, I think it's interesting because I think one thing I have noticed for Vitality, if I was going to criticize something, it's that like Cabo does feel pretty isolated a lot of the time and doesn't feel like he's.
It's camp mid for Vitality.
Yeah, I mean it's camp mid every time. So if you're talking about the best way for Vitality to win to be camping top, that's not really something we've seen them be successful at. Even
That's
when
what they
Cabo
were doing before.
Early on.
That's how they
Early
stomped H2K.
They would like
No, it's
snowball
because they had
through
like
mid.
this spellbook bot lane just tipping to top.
Yeah, they
and
had
it was
yeah,
really
true.
boring.
Yeah.
Like, so they will lose lane bot and be like, abort bot lane, TP top lane.
Fast everyone base, swap the TP straight to
The
let's
thing
go.
is like without that though, right? Like they Jimmy, we were talking at the start of the split Deficio that they would counter pick for Cabo every single game for like the first half of the split, and then not do anything. Like they'd either go
had a
hard,
few
go top,
games,
or
yeah.
leave him on an island where he'd be playing like Lucian. You'd be like, well, he's 0-3 now. Jizuke is really fed, so it's fine. But why would you pick him the Lucian if you weren't going to go top?
They definitely love to counter pick and draft, like a lot. And it sometimes means they get really weird comps that doesn't really make a lot
And that's
of
why they
sense.
love purple set so much. They're kind
Sure.
of most of their wins are on purple. Like they love. For example, I think that's why their second half of the split is so bad, because they had side selection on 80% of their games on the first half, and they just went purple every game, and they just won every purple side game. And now that on second half of the split they're stuck on blue, then they just lose every blue side game, except the one against Splice.
Here's my except for that one.
That game's the gift that keeps on giving.
Here's my so my concern with Vitality and why I think H2K will win, but it won't be like a super stomp, is Vitality's early game is fine whenever they again execute ganks mid for Jizuke. They become really bad at actually snowballing, like really bad. They were super good in the start when Ryze was insanely broken.
They are the macro kings.
Yes, they
Macro
are definitely the macro
geniuses.
geniuses. That's not the case.
Said
So
by King Inter over there, 0-12.
they struggle when it comes to closing out games. The Baron's
Tamkinch,
always a mess.
IRL.
God, Odo.
Point is,
Love you so much.
we will get to late game team fights. I agree with Odo. Sheriff will carry late
Sheriff
game
is
team
clutch
fights.
as hell. I will give
and
you that.
I think H2K in the end, I think almost every game might be like a grind towards the late game, but then H2K will win most of them.
We're casting the game. That's gonna
We
be
are casting. I'm actually looking forward to it. I was so afraid that we would get the Splice game, because then I would get spammed with being biased whenever I said anything positive about a Splice member. So I was like, oh, I'm casting the other one. There we
I
go.
can flame everybody.
Now I can just.
So I don't think we've heard as much from you. You're in the Vitality camp with me,
Yeah.
despite clutch Sheriff, quote unquote, and all this other stuff.
Why
do you
it
think
is so good?
Yeah, what makes Vitality good in your eyes?
I mean, I think they'll just win. Like, playing for mid is probably the most important thing, and that's what Vitality does right now. So I think they'll just get pressure through mid lane and just get advantage through that.
Okay. We keep it
And
simple.
I don't think that H2K can match that. That's why I think they'll win.
Cool. Okay.
Are we?
I think so. Basically,
time?
we split on that one. Everyone agrees
Unless they get
Splice.
some cheese, you know, like they got some
Yeah.
cheese up in the mid lane, Ziggs, Ezreal maybe, you know.
Yes.
I
have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from.
You guys are really set on this.
You're playing the random Chelsea solo queue so much.
I think we're at a point now where it is time for the wager of the week.
Finally.
Oh,
This is the thing. So, here's the plan, folks. Now, if you watch any NALCS, good for you. Thanks for watching NALCS and joining us in the EUphoria podcast. Wonderful times. You may know that Jat's dog and Freak's dog do a lot of predictions. They put 2 bowls of food. They say go, whatever bowl the dog runs to. That's the team that's going to win. We also have 2 dogs on the podcast, as it turns out. So here's the stakes. What's going to happen is, right now, after this podcast finishes, I'm going to go on Amazon and I'm going to find the worst possible dog costume I can find. Human costume, dog costume for humans. Got it? And then, because me and sOAZ have predicted so heavily in favor of Vitality, we'll be repping the Vitality side. You guys will be repping H2K.
There we go.
Loser has to make a prediction video with 2 bowls of food, and they have to walk in like a dog towards the 2 bowls of food, eat it, and
Seriously?
make their prediction that way for semi-final matches.
Do we both have to wear a
Yes.
dog
So
costume?
because we're voting, if let's say Vitality win, you guys would both make a video, and I'm gonna say for the semi-final that Odo is not in, right? Let's assume you make it to the semifinals. Otherwise, it won't matter, right? So assuming
I
you
can make
get in-
prediction for both.
you can make 2 dog videos, Odo. I'll support that. And then you also have to make a dog
Okay,
video.
okay.
And
So-
now on the opposite side, H2K wins. Both me and sOAZ have to take turns wearing the dog costume and making predictions.
I like it. I was hoping
my
we had to
God.
like. I was hoping one guy had the other guy in a leash and had to like go in with it as the dog.
See, that's a little too... Maybe I spent too much time in Berlin clubs, but that one doesn't quite line up the way that
Sexual
I
for
want.
you. Alright, the dog costume, it's on.
Wait, but to eat the dog food, what's in the
No,
dog
you're not
bowl?
eating actual
We'll put
dog
like a
food.
sausage or food in
Oh,
there. Like
pulsa.
people
We
food.
put candy
Actually,
in
the
there.
fisher should make us some pulsa.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
I
good.
can put that in there.
Whatever. But the people food will be in the bowl.
The important
okay.
part is you being more in the dog costume and.
Oh,
you
okay.
know.
It's good because they're one size fits all. We're gonna make it work.
All right. Cool.
Nice. There's the bet.
Let's go H to K, I guess.
Please, man.
And it's only on that quarterfinal we're betting because we all agree on the other one.
I mean, if it's a 3-0, then Drakos can just wear it. Because most of us just agree to a 3-0 or 3-1, and he's really far off. Agree?
Wait, you said no.
Okay, we agree. Okay, sorry,
Yeah,
Drakos, but
it
we
sounds
agree.
good to me.
Wait, all you're doing is supporting SOAZ right now. Me and SOAZ are on the same team. We're on team.
No, he's like 3-1 for
He
Splice
means for
Rocket.
the first quarterfinal.
Oh, for the first
You're
one.
3
no.
and 2
no,
and you're
no,
really
no,
far
no,
off.
The bet
Okay, it's
is
only
Vitality
Vitality
H2K.
H2K.
Oh, man.
All right, that does it for our main show. Now, we did not do the quick shots predictions that we've been doing, the quick fire predictions in the past, but I do have an update. Final scores have come in. After week 9, Deficio got 6 out of 10 right. Gilius got 5 out of 10 right. And as you know, Deficio was already in the lead, so he is our winner. 45 out of 80 correct predictions.
Out of 80 is not relevant, just 45.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem as impressive anymore.
It was better in the Riot one.
compared to the guests, 41 out of 80. Yeah, nice job swapping your predictions, by the way. So Deficio is the quick shots, we'll call this season 1 champion.
The EUphoria podcast season 1
Invitational.
champion.
Yeah, invitational.
What do I win?
Nothing. We didn't
A
plan.
dog costume.
Yeah, get a dog. You can keep the dog costume.
That's
you can keep the dog costume.
I'll take
Good
it.
job, SOAZ. You came up with a prize. All right,
Yes.
you can keep the dog costume. You can be the real dog champ then.
I mean, you can use it for your kinky stuff. It's fine.
All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you, Odoamne, SOAZ. Any parting words? Preferably not explicit, Odoamne.
I mean, if it's not explicit, then I don't really have anything to say. Sorry.
Well, thanks for coming on anyway. Thank you to everyone who listened. Of course, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, timestamps. They're in the description. If you've watched this long and you haven't figured it out, I feel so bad
But
for
then you don't need the timestamps because you
But
watched the entire
that's it.
thing.
I mean, in
Okay.
case they want to rewatch,
Yes,
There
yes.
you go. You can go back to your
listen to
favorite
our
part.
sweet, sexy voices. Ooh.
Ooh. All right. That does it for EUphoria episode 9. We'll see you guys next week for episode 10.